Yeah, they tell you that you should quit trying. You were too small, that you were too young. They tell you the chance is too slim, the world is too big, but you say how come? I'm ready to light a new fire, raise a new flag, to cross a new sea. And if I'm ever the one in your way, then put your head down and run right through me. I keep settling for so much. Giving just a man what's next.
Oh my god. I want to lose it right now, but I'm keeping it together. But holy hell. You know, I thought the Bulls were going to have a good offensive game. In the end, they score 117 points, which is something that they have not gotten up there, you know, in a bit, except against Brooklyn. But it's like, I thought for sure this was one of those nights where I'm like, okay, finally the offense came together. We saw something good for once on offense, and we could just go home happy. You know, I wasn't necessarily expecting a 30-point win, but I expected to win by at least 15. With the way this game was going, and it ended up being this, a 2-point game, and luckily for us, Jaden Ivey pulled a Chris Webber, and that kind of helped seal the deal. The Bulls blew a 21-point lead, so yet again they blew another lead. And the biggest thing was just, you see that fourth quarter, right? I'm just gonna go out and say like they blew a 15-point lead because they went into halftime up 15, they ended the third up 15. Then it gets cut down. At one point, the Pistons were tied with us, and it's like, my God, man, I'm so annoyed, and you know, everyone's gonna be saying like, wow, this team doesn't have the mental fortitude, or they just don't have that it factor, or they're gonna talk about all this and that, right? They're gonna say that this team's mentality is weak, etc., etc. You know what I'm gonna say? You know what I'm gonna say, Bulls fans? You know what I'm gonna say, chat? I know that a lot of people are just gonna be watching the VOD for this one. I'm not in the mood to stream today. I'm tired. I just finished 3 assignments earlier this week, but as I've said so many times, what is this? This makes no sense. And it wasn't just, you know, like, oh, we shot mid-range, right, in that fourth quarter, right? It's just the entire play calling in that fourth quarter was just so atrocious. And my biggest issue isn't necessarily this, right? It's this. Right? The Bulls couldn't score a damn bucket in that fourth quarter, okay? Like, they couldn't score anything, and yet I only see 4 shots at the rim. This Pistons team isn't a good defense, really. Like, we've been scoring inside all night against this Pistons team easily. What the hell happened to getting buckets inside? Like, look, if you're not hitting that perimeter shot, and I've been calling for 3-point shots, right? But clearly, no one can hit a damn 3 in that fourth quarter. Okay. If you can't hit a 3 in that fourth quarter, right? And I'm talking specifically about the start of this fourth quarter, where it started ugly. Like, the second unit came out in that fourth quarter, just couldn't do a damn thing. Like, get to the basket. That's how you can score. But instead, I'm seeing guys just launch mid-range and 3s. I'm like, what are you doing? When it comes down to, like, you know, the last, you know, 3 or so minutes at crunch time, I always say going to the basket is never the right idea. You typically see that the defense really zones in and they take away the paint always, and so you do have to hit the perimeter shot come like really, you know, deep into crunch time. But this Bulls team was struggling out of the gate in that fourth quarter. They couldn't score a damn bucket, and I'm thinking to myself, why is DeRozan just shooting all these mid-range shots? Why are guys just launching up 3-point shots when they just don't have it going? Like, it made no sense. The Bulls made 2 shots that fourth quarter. Luckily for them, they scored 16 points. So they made 12 free throws by my count. But it's so awful just to see this Bulls offense struggle like we saw in that fourth quarter, because this has been the legit writing of the season, right? It's this Bulls team, they get leads, they blow leads, and a big reason why is because their stupid offense does not know how to be consistent, and their offense, because it's so analytically inefficient, it ends up showing moments like this where it's a bad offense, right? Where nothing goes down. The fact that I see more mid-range shots than paint shots is insane. Like, that itself, I think, should be just a fireable offense by Billy Donovan. And every single player that decided, hey, we're going to shoot a mid-range shot unnecessarily should be fined today. Because you're not getting anything. The mid-range shot does nothing. If you're going to shoot a 2, get in the paint. If you're not going to shoot a 2, I'd recommend you shoot the 3. Obviously, there are moments where the mid-range, it matters. Like, there's always going to be moments where you need to shoot the mid-range. But I'm specifically talking about that start of that fourth quarter where we just saw guys just shooting mid-range shots very unnecessarily. It's like, what are we doing? This is how you lose a lead. This is how you blow a lead. This is how another team, like a young Pistons team, comes back, because suddenly the Pistons are out shooting you at the three-point line when they weren't doing that in the first half. It's seriously just, it's so disgusting just to watch. And everyone's like, why are the Pistons coming back? Why do the Bulls always blow all these leads? Well, go look at my video. I made an entire damn video of why the Bulls blow leads. And it all has to do with their offense, right? Their offense is the worst offense in the league right now. And when you run an offense that solely relies on you shooting mid-range shots and post-up opportunities, then you're going to blow leads, because that shot is very inconsistent. It's not a very good shot. When it goes down, you look all right. But when it's not going down, what else are you going to do on offense? Because this Bulls team clearly relies on that mid-range and post-up game way too much. So, I don't know, man. I wanted to just stream, just to vent, and, you know, I'm sure you guys are also just as pissed as me. I know a lot of people are going to be watching the VOD of this one, but just straight up unacceptable to see this one. See the Bulls blow this lead. I'm gonna argue this too, and I know people are gonna disagree with me on this one. And by the way, I do want to go watch some of these other games that are on. So again, I'm ending stream pretty quickly here, but this Bulls team's defense, in my opinion, wasn't necessarily awful. Okay, that third quarter, I do think the Bulls defense wasn't amazing. They gave up 32 points. We saw in the first quarter the Bulls defense also was kind of but luckily for them, the offense was just either as good or better than the Pistons when their defense wasn't playing very well. Now, I think the defense in that fourth quarter was actually pretty solid. The issue was that with the Bulls are missing so many shots, it gives the Pistons so many damn transition opportunities, and the Bulls defense can't get set. And guess what? You're playing Nikola Vucevic, who's one of the slowest centers in the league, right? So sometimes your best defense is good offense, right? If you make the shot, Pistons can't go out in transition and get the rebound and run. This is a young Pistons team that has fresh legs. The Bulls are coming off a second night of a back-to-back, or, you know, this is the second game of back-to-back. They played last night. They were just in Toronto. It was a long game, a long and annoying game. So you're tired, right? And suddenly the Detroit Pistons were running the Bulls out of the building in that fourth quarter because the Bulls couldn't hit a damn shot. Bulls are 2 of 16 in that fourth quarter. 2 of 16. Just flat out disgusting shot chart that I don't see more shots in here when you're struggling from the perimeter. You got to get more shots in the paint if that's the case. Luckily for us, we made our free throws. Zach made free throws. DeMar made free throws. And Jaden Ivey pulled a Chris Webber. So, just inexcusable. Just flat out inexcusable. And for all you people that are like, well, why did the Pistons come back? This Bulls team doesn't know how to stay engaged, etc. I think the Bulls defense in that fourth quarter was fine. That's when the lead was blown. The issue was that the Bojan Bogdanovic was draining threes, right? We saw guys suddenly start draining threes on us. And what's our response? We made 2 mid-range shots that entire fourth quarter. 2 mid-range shots. 2 mid-range shots. What are we doing? This is the reason why you blow the lead, is because when another team is hitting threes, they made 4 threes that quarter, by the way, and you shoot mid-range and you only respond with 2 mid-range shots, you're gonna blow the lead. It's just math. It's math. Straight up unacceptable. I also think Billy Donovan, man, like this is where I'm like, Billy Donovan is seriously being shown as a very bad coach in these sort of situations where he doesn't know how to adjust, right? If the offense is that is not working right now and things are going south, he just runs the same damn play over and over again and then suddenly expects it to somehow work, right? Like he's like, okay, DeMar, bail us out, and it's like, bro, you as a coach need to set up a play here that is much better than what's being run. Like you as a coach can call out a play that gets someone cutting hard to the basket. Like get something going into the paint. At least get a paint touch. Like you don't have to necessarily like shoot a shot in the paint. I would like you to, but at least get a paint touch, because we saw so many times that in that fourth, the ball wasn't even touching the paint. It was just only on the perimeter. And the Bulls had some wide open shots. So, like, you know, part of it is for sure just on the players. They just got to knock down some shots here. But if you're cold, then you got to get back into the paint, right? And it's not through the post up, because I've said that so many times. So you, as a coach, you need to either run a pick and roll that has Vucevic seriously rolling hard and not fading back to the three-point line, which he did multiple times that fourth quarter. Or you got to run like a misdirection or something and get guys moving off ball more so that you can get a paint touch. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to result in a paint shot. Just get a paint touch. Make the defense rotate. And Billy Donovan's like, okay, we're just gonna give it to DeMar, and we're gonna run the pick and roll. Hopefully, he gets the switch, and then he'll shoot a mid range. Like, that's the Billy Donovan offense that happened in that fourth quarter, and that to me is straight up unacceptable. Yeah, I'm not happy. I'm gonna end this stream though on a positive note. DeMar stole the game for us. Yes, DeMar DeRozan. Like, I don't think DeMar's healthy. Okay, I think that he is clearly still nursing some sort of injury. I don't know how severe it is. Clearly, he's playing, so it can't be that severe. But I think it's pretty evident that DeMar's lift right now is not normal. Right? He looks overall slower. And whenever he jumps, it just doesn't seem like he's a normal jumping, right? So I do think that he is having some issues. But in this sort of game where Zach had it going and he's shooting 14 of 20 from the field, which is legit ridiculous shooting percentage, you need to give the ball to Zach, right? And Billy Donovan decided that we're not going to give the ball to Zach LaVine in that fourth quarter. Zach LaVine only scored in that fourth quarter because of free throws, okay? He took only one shot or one field goal attempt, and it was a missed mid-range shot, okay? He just did not, it seemed like Billy just did not trust Zach down the stretch, and I'm like, look, DeMar DeRozan right now is cold. He can't hit a shot for his life. Luckily, he was the only, somehow, actually, though, he was the only guy that hit the 2 shots that the Bulls made in that fourth quarter, so maybe I'm wrong, but he was just missing shots that I thought were very bad shots overall. And I'm like, look, man, Zach has it going. And I'm not necessarily saying that you need to give the ball to Zach and let him isolate, but you need to run some sort of floppy action for him. Run him off a pin down. Get him in a spot where he's comfortable, where he has a live dribble, can either just shoot the ball or drive hard to the rim. Okay? Get him moving, get him coming to the ball, and get him attacking the basket. Like, that's a very simple thing to do. It doesn't require very hard play calling. It's a simple play, and yet we didn't see that at all. We just saw Zach stand in the corner a lot, and the only time he was able to get to the free throw line was because DeMar DeRozan got double teamed, and he had to pass it to Zach because of an emergency, right? Or Bulls got the defensive rebound and gave it to Zach, and he pushed it up the floor and got 2 free throws out of it. Like, that's the only time Zach got touches. So, like, I don't like it when I see people like, I'm waiting for Zach to do something in the fourth. He's not the featured player in the fourth. He just straight up isn't. It's DeMar. And it's stupid to watch this continue, especially on a night when Zach has it going, has a 36-point game going into the fourth, and DeMar DeRozan does not have it going. It doesn't make any sense. Bulls should have won by more points. They're better than this. Lucky win for them. Oh, for sure. Lucky win. Hey, Doug, I actually want LaVine to not get that rebound, have a 40-0-0 game. Yeah. That's the classic Kobe Bryant stat line of a 40-0-0 game. But yeah. I think it was big though that Levine did get that rebound at the end of the day. But yeah, that would have been a funny stat line to look at. Just shows you that, hey, Patrick Beverley said your job is to score, and he's doing just that. So there's that. Now, all right, now I'm going to get to my positive note, okay? I'm going to get to my positive stuff that I do want to say. Bulls offense in that first quarter, okay? Let's look at this Bulls shot chart in the first quarter. The Bulls attempted 9 threes in that first quarter, okay? That's fantastic, right? And it's not a shocker that when you attempt more threes, you score more points. If you're wondering how many points is the Bulls score in that first quarter, well, they scored 38 points. 38! Shot 9 threes, scored 38 points. 31 and 32 for the rest, okay? And the Bulls, I believe at halftime, they shot a lot of threes in general. See a decent amount here. But at the 7:03 mark in the second quarter, the Bulls had attempted 17 threes at that point, okay? That's good. Now, come third quarter, right? Luckily, Zach at least had it going from 3, but I think he was honestly the only dude shooting it. Right? Like, this is a Zach 3. That's a Caruso 3. That's a Zach 3. That's a Zach 3. This is also a Zach 3. And then this is also this is a Vucevic 3. So, you know, not awful. I still would have liked to see more threes attempted because the Pistons couldn't guard anybody on the perimeter. So, shoot them. But then the fourth quarter, it suddenly, very few 3-point shots, no paint shots, mid-range. That's just how you lose. That's how you lose a lead in this game. That's how you lose a lead. So I was not happy to see that whatsoever. Now, my positives of today, okay? Patrick Beverley won the Bulls this game. You know why? Patrick Beverley, there was a play where Beverley was guarding Jaden Ivey, and we saw Jaden Ivey drive hard to the basket, but for some reason Nikola Vucevic was not paying attention, and Vucevic was the help man. And Vucevic was watching an off-ball action happen when he shouldn't be watching it in the first place. So Patrick Beverley said, "Vooch, what are you doing? You gotta be here, right?" He got in Vooch's face. Vooch didn't like it, and I think this just kind of shows you like the guys on this team. A lot of them don't want anybody getting in their face and yelling at them, right? Vooch is one of those guys, but Vooch was pissed off. But here's the thing: Beverley's right. And then after the next possession, there was a timeout call, or there's a stoppage of play called, and Beverley took everybody and called everyone over to huddle up and said, "Look, man," or I don't know what he said, but he was very animated in that huddle, okay? And he was like getting into guys saying, "Y'all got to do better. Y'all got to defend better. Y'all got to pay more attention because right now defensively that was a major breakdown that we had in our last possession, and that cannot continue." That's the Beverley effect, right? That's something that Billy Donovan is not going to do. That's something that I don't even think Alex Caruso is even going to do. That's Patrick Beverley. And luckily for us, Patrick Beverley was there today and telling people, "Hey, y'all got to step your ass up because we're blowing a lead that we shouldn't be blowing, but we still have a chance to win this game. This is not time for you, Vucevic, to be relaxing on defensive assignments, right? This can't be happening. It just can't." So Patrick Beverley won the Bulls this game. Straight up just through his own coaching ability of being a player coach and him getting on guys because the Bulls were just straight up falling apart in that fourth quarter. The other positive is this: Zach looks phenomenal. I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see him be playing very well recently. I know he didn't have that great of a game against the Raptors, but he did have a pretty big third quarter against the Raptors. But yeah, Zach looks really good right now. And he was just shooting lights out. I tweeted out that Zach needs to be averaging 9 to 10 threes per game. Should be shooting 10 to 15 per game, right? This is the reason why. I mean, the dude, when he gets those opportunities and he's allowed to shoot those 3-point shots, I mean, he explodes, right? 14 at 20 from the field is very similar to the game he had against Detroit back when he scored 43. He scored 41 tonight. So yeah, just good to see from Levine. I know that these games where he scored a bunch of points weren't exactly the greatest teams, I do think that him scoring a bunch of points against Brooklyn was good because that's against Mikal Bridges and Dorian Finney-Smith, two very, very solid defenders, and Mikal Bridges is a very top-tier defender. But game against the Wizards, you could definitely argue that. This game is also not that good of a, it's not that amazing because it's the Detroit Pistons. But overall, though, you do want to see Zach looking good, right? And he just looked fantastic tonight. Should have had more opportunities to close it out instead of having DeMar DeRozan taking those shots at the end of the game. But, Billy Donovan's not going to call the plays for him, unfortunately. But either way, you want Zach to get going because then, in the next game against Phoenix, hopefully then he can catch fire against Phoenix, which I expect the Bulls to lose anyway. But you still just want him to score, right? And he's doing just that since the All-Star break. Casey Johnson had a tweet that was indicative of what Zach LaVine has done this season, right? Or was it? Sorry. So Zach finished February averaging 25.5 points per game, 52% shooting. In January, he was averaging 26.1 on 46% shooting. Like, this just shows you that Zach LaVine's fine, right? Everyone had their worries. I also had some worries early, but I kept saying, give it some time because, he's coming back from injury. He's not in basketball shape, and he's looking great now. So I understand that a lot of Bulls fans want the team to rebuild. That's fine. So even if you want the team to rebuild, all Zach's doing is raising his trade value right now in your eyes. So be happy, right? Because obviously a rebuild's not happening now because the trade deadline's over. But just be happy that LaVine's raising his trade value because this is something that he can obviously do, and teams obviously want him because he is analytically one of the best players in the league due to his overall game. Is very analytically right. So just be happy about it, whether you're for the rebuild or if you're not for the rebuild. Just be happy that this is here. Yeah, that's that. So Pat Bev had nearly a triple-double. Nice to see. Yeah, Patrick Beverley had a phenomenal first half. His second half was kind of he airballed a 3. And also in that second half, he had some moments that weren't exactly great. But he had 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 4 steals and a block. That is classic Patrick Beverley, in my opinion. Let's see here. Pat's on LaVine to score. Definitely got DeMar a bit jealous ever since he hasn't been a reliable scorer since. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think what's happening right now is with DeRozan is not 100%. I think that's part of the issues going on. But also I do think that LaVine and DeRozan, they're still trying to figure it out. How do we keep each other engaged in the game, and how do we get each other's shots? It's a very weird dynamic because they basically play the same position and they do similar things, except LaVine shoots threes and attacks the basket, and DeRozan shoots mid-range, but they both shoot a lot. I think that's just kind of it's just them trying to figure it out still, which, you're running out of time here, right? It's clearly not working. I do think that DeRozan is not 100%. So, yeah, take it as whatever you want with that. That final DeMar shot, what was that? And we lucked out with that tech at the end. Oh my god. So yeah, Patrick, that DeMar DeRozan shot, just I don't know. He took that shot, and here's the thing. That was off a missed shot. That was off a missed 3 by Jaden Ivey from the Pistons. So the Bulls are up 2, right? And I'm like, okay, you have a chance to ice this game right here. And DeRozan got the ball, brought it up, and said isolate. And he decided, I'm going to take this last shot. And I'm like, I look, man, I know that you've done this so many times throughout your career, and you've done it so many times in the Bulls uniform. But there's a dude that is standing right next to you that has a 40-point game going, and is clearly right now the only dude that can hit a shot in this game, right? I know DeRozan hit 2 in the fourth, but he was also missing a ton of shots in that fourth quarter. And DeRozan then decided, I'm going to get to my spot, but then decided I'm going to fade away and take that mid-range. That made no sense. I'm like, what are you doing? And he missed it. And again, DeRozan's not 100%. And I feel like he knows that, but he wanted the moment. Which, on this team, DeRozan is always first in line to get that moment, as people have always said, as he should. But I feel like in this sort of circumstance, that needs to get negated because clearly DeRozan's not 100% and is not hitting shots. So I'd give it to Zach and let him go to work. But they gave it to DeRozan, and it ended up not working out very well. Just overall, just terrible. I hated it. But it's what happens, unfortunately. Alex Caruso, power forwards, yeah. So here's what I'm going to say about the whole Alex Caruso starting, okay? I can live with Alex Caruso starting, okay? I can live with him starting. My thing is this, if he's going to start, he can't be playing 30-plus minutes, okay? So, to see him at 20 minutes, I think that's kind of right. I can see him going up to 28. But my biggest thing is, if the Bulls are playing a big team, right, like the Raptors, Patrick Williams needs to finish, okay? Just because P. Will's on the bench does not mean that suddenly he can't get starting level minutes, okay? Many people off the bench get starting level minutes. Patrick Williams can do just that. Not saying it should be every single game, but if the Bulls are facing a bigger opponent, you need Patrick Williams out there. And I'm aware of Alex Caruso's impact. I'm aware of his net rating. I'm aware of how good of a player he is. But right now, with this team, if you're gonna have Alex Caruso at power forward, which that's just wrong overall. To me, the power forward is DeMar DeRozan, Zach's a small forward, and then it's Beverly and Caruso in the backcourt. But either way, though, that's a very small lineup, right? That lineup just can't be used against big teams come crunch time. It just can't. We did see Billy Donovan roll with Patrick Williams to end the game tonight, which was the right decision. Okay? And I was overall happy to see that. The thing is, though, is that I'm going to criticize Donovan for multiple things, which was that fourth quarter meltdown, that's partially on Donovan. You gotta call better plays. Also, he left Zach out of the game for too long. Zach sat on the bench and didn't get back in the game until about 7 minutes left in that fourth, and that's when the Pistons basically cut it to a 6-point game at that point. Like, that's too late, right? So Donovan messed up on a lot of things in that fourth quarter, but I'll give him credit for closing with Pat, or I should say P. Will. But yeah, I can live with this being the starting lineup. I can, but come crunch time, I feel like it has to be P. Will. It just has to, right? Like, if Beverly wasn't here, I think Caruso would close games at the point guard. But because Beverly's here, I'm not taking out Pat Bev right now because his rebounding is clearly better than Caruso's. So I need Pat Bev out there to close the game. Hence then, Caruso, you're not taking that point guard spot to close the game. I need P. Will to then take that power forward position. But yeah, we'll see if Donovan does that more here on out. Could you imagine Kirk Hinrich playing power forward? That's what this looks like to me. I know the game has changed since Kirk was playing, but still, that's actually a very good comparison, Loudmob. Like, that is like the perfect comparison. Except for the fact that I feel like Kirk Hinrich was a better 3-point shooter. But yeah, that's a very good comparison. And you're right, 100%. I just that wouldn't fly obviously when Kirk was playing, and I honestly don't think it flies today, right? But again, like, as I said, the power forward, in my opinion, is DeMar DeRozan. If it's Beverly, Caruso, Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic. Like, I would argue that the power forward is DeRozan, Levine's a small forward, and then Beverly and Caruso are the backcourt. The Bulls just list Caruso at power forward for some damn reason. I don't know why. It doesn't make any damn sense. But at the end of the day, it's positionless basketball. But to me, even if it is positionless basketball, I still look at the overall size, right? The overall size in that lineup is extremely small, no matter who the hell or what position each player is playing. It doesn't matter. And I think that's just the overall problem. And I feel like you just can't close games with that small of a lineup. And it's also not just like Caruso's like 6'4". It's also that his wingspan isn't that, like, he has an overall big wingspan for his size, but length overall on the court is still pretty small if that's the lineup closing. So yeah, just overall, yeah. Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, that's a perfect comparison with Kirk Hinrich playing power forward. Again, though, I would just argue that it's a lineup of Beverly 6'2", Caruso 6'4", Levine and DeRozan are 6'6". That's so small. Like, that that's small in today's world. Like, and I'm talking about today's game. That's a small lineup in today's game. It's just not gonna fly, right? Yeah, it's overall bad. And here's the other thing too, guys. I feel like that this also kind of goes under the radar. Like, I know Vucevic has had a ton of double doubles this year, and I think that Vucevic has rebounded overall pretty well. But to me, he's not that great of like an overall rebounder. He gets a bunch of rebounds because he's the biggest guy out there on the court most of the time, right? But to me, his boxing out ability isn't necessarily that great. And it really puts a detriment to this lineup then if he isn't going to be effectively pulling down boards, right? When you're already running a small lineup, like that just makes that lineup even worse out there. So I'm not really necessarily shocked to see that the overall rebounding has taken a hit recently, because it may sound crazy, but Beverly is smaller than Io DeSumo, right? Beverly is like 2 inches shorter than Io, and Io has a much bigger wingspan and a much bigger standing reach, right? So like those little things matter in today's game. And also let's remind ourselves that once Beverly got here, Billy Donovan, he changed the lineup, right? He took P-Will out as well and put in Alex Caruso. So basically, since the All-Star break, the Bulls shed basically 5 inches off their starting lineup, right? And who knows how many inches they shed off their standing reach. So to me, this is something that I'm going to continue to look at, because overall the Bulls have been a pretty okay defensive rebounding team. Like it's not like they've been atrocious, but since the All-Star break, it's been a bit of a concern. Yeah. Bulls are able to play with Rodman, Pippen, Jordan, Harper because all those guys had long ass arms. They were so quick and strong, and Jordan and Pippen have abnormally huge hands. Yeah, like I think that's also something that kind of, you know, isn't always looked at. Like, people were always concerned about Wendell Carter Jr. playing center, but I'm like, the dude's standing reach is like 7'6". Like, I truly don't have any sort of worry with him being a 6'9" center if his standing foot reach is like 7'6". Like, it doesn't make, or whatever the hell it was. I don't even remember what it was, but it was a very tall standing reach, right? But as you're saying, La Mob, like that lineup of Harper, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, right? Like those guys, they're not all the biggest. Now Jordan and Pippen, I would say that that's like the normal size for at the time the shooting guard and small forward. Rodman was, I guess also pretty normal for the point guard, like a 6'5" guy, right? Because that was kind of the time where we saw some bigger guards in the league. But Dennis Rodman is a 6'7" skinny dude, but because of his standing reach and his length, he was able to be one of the best rebounders ever to play the game, right? So this lineup here, though, doesn't have that. Now, I'm aware of Levine's jumping ability, but DeRozan, you know, his jumping ability isn't necessarily that great. Neither of them have the biggest wingspan. Beverly does not have the biggest wingspan, and Caruso has a pretty big wingspan for his size. But just taking out Io and P-Will, you've shed a lot of your length in that starting lineup, and I think that is an overall concern moving forward. And they had 7-2 Longley in the lineup. Obviously, it worked. Yeah, and Longley, I think did his job just fine. Like, I don't think there's anything we need to even talk about with Longley, and he did everything. And here's the thing: I always say that sometimes the big men in the '90s, the centers that aren't necessarily the all-stars, they do a ton of dirty work that just is not seen. Right? Those centers down there, they're fighting and clawing and doing everything to just even get a little bit of an edge, to the point where it's like they may not get the rebound, but they're fighting hard enough so that their other teammates can get the rebound, right? Longley was that guy to do such a thing, right? So yeah, good overall observation, La Mob. That yeah, like you can run a small lineup, but you need to have length out there. To rebound effectively. I don't think the Bulls necessarily were out rebounded in this one, but there were some moments down the stretch where it was a little bit of like annoying. But then we also kind of saw it come into play that the Bulls' lack of paint protection, like Patrick Williams is paint protection. Like we don't necessarily think that, but he's paint protection, right? And we don't have that right now, right? Now, the Bulls could get away with a bunch of 6'6 guys if they were more efficient and had more volume with the threes, for one thing. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. This is the thing about Billy Donovan I don't understand. Like, he runs these small lineups, but if you're going to run a small lineup, you better play small ball, right? You better shoot threes. You better be diving to the paint. You better be shooting free throws and getting out in transition constantly. But instead, we run a small lineup, but we play 90s basketball. That, to me, makes no sense whatsoever, and I'm sick and tired of it. And I'm losing my mind, honestly. Yeah. Beverly, I'm gonna say Beverly won the Bulls this game, and Levine had a very good game. Kobe White also had a very good game. Shout out to him. I kind of called him out last stream. He did a pretty good, decent job. But back in from Vooch, just could not really hit a shot. DeRozan did not have that great of a game either. So thank God Levine was on one tonight. Because if he wasn't, I'd be concerned. And I also think Patrick Williams did a really good job today, too. So, shout out to him. Yeah, I was about to add that at the transition part. Yeah, if you're small, you better be out and running. But the Bulls, they play small, but then they play half court. Yeah, I truly don't understand what Billy Donovan's thinking or what the front office is really thinking. It's truly upsetting. So, I'm not going to full out blame this on Billy Donovan, but I'm going to be blaming the front office and Billy Donovan together because they work together to form this roster and make decisions on this roster. So I'm just going to clump them into one about the whole small ball stuff and just say, yeah, that's just them everywhere. That's all of them and all their fault. Using the quickness and athleticism and play the passing lanes and run the bigger teams out of the gym. Yeah, that should work. And also then exploiting mismatches on the perimeter, right? If you get a switch with a big man guarding a small dude, then exploit it, right? But again, though, we typically see the Bulls do the inverse, where they try to exploit Vucevic having a small dude on him. But as I've said so many times, if you try to post up a small guy, the defenses in today's game are mobile enough, quick enough. I should say the players in today's game are mobile enough, quick enough, athletic enough, and lengthy to the point that they can stop the post up from being effective, right? You can't take advantage of the small guy down low anymore because you're able to double team the post so easily now because guys are at the best athletes we've ever seen in basketball. Front office deserves huge blame for this. What are they thinking? Oh yeah, they 100% deserve a ton of blame. Now, here's what I don't think they deserve blame for. I think the Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso stuff was not something that they deserve blame for at all. And if anything, if you're going to be playing kind of like a small lineup, those are two guys that I want because Lonzo Ball is a damn good rebounder and he can legit guard 4 positions and is a fantastic three-point shooter and etc. But he's not here. So your small ball lineup is definitely taking a hit with him not being here. However, I'm Billy Donovan. I'm not running Alex Caruso to end the game. That's his fault. And, I would also then blame the front office if there's just not a forward that the Billy Donovan trusts down the stretch. But to me, it's mostly on Billy that he doesn't play P well closing games. All right, as I said, this could be a very short stream. I am going to end it here now. Bulls take on the Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant on Friday. I'm scared. I'm legitimately scared about this matchup. I'm just expecting the Bulls to lose this one. So, I've always said that this is gonna be a loss since KD got to Phoenix. So, yeah, I'm just expecting an L. I don't know what Phoenix did, so they won against Charlotte, which is not a surprise. But Kevin Durant was 10 to 15 shooting and scored 23 points in 26 minutes. So that's what Kevin Durant did in his return. So yeah, just expect more of this, of Kevin Durant dominating in legit very little time. My God, man. And on top of the fact that Devin Booker put up 37, DeAndre Ayton put up 16, and Chris Paul had just put up 2 points. Yeah, I'm expecting a blowout against this Bulls team, and I won't be mad if that happens. This should be the team that comes out of the West. So the Bulls losing to this one to the Phoenix Suns won't be that big of an issue. But yes, see you on Friday. Yeah. I at the very least, I would like to see the Bulls just look all right. I'm not saying to look, great. Just look okay. Look decent. You still probably lose by 15 plus, but just look decent. Yeah, that's that. I agree. Always a fan of Caruso and Lonzo Pickup. Great compliment to Zach and his game. Yeah, I mean those are two great guys to compliment Zach's game. And also just two great guys to complement the modern day style. But the Vucevic pickup, the DeRozan, I guess I'm not gonna blame him too much for DeRozan because I always say talent is always best, but I just think Billy Donovan just does not use DeRozan the way I would like it for him to be used. But yeah, the other people though on this team, front office deserves a lot of blame for it. Look like a professional team, yeah. That is also all I'm asking for from the Bulls come Friday. But as I said though, thank you guys for watching the stream. I ranted from after this terrible Bulls meltdown in that fourth quarter, but they won it. Thanks to Jaden Ivey pulling a Chris Webber. But I'll see y'all after what I'm gonna be guessing is a pretty bad loss to the Phoenix Suns on Friday. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, y'all.